You could not live with your own failure. Where did that bring you? Back to me. And as long as there are those that remember what was, there will always be those that are unable to accept what can be. Dread it, run from it, destiny arrives all the same. And now it's here. Or should I say, I am.
Hello there, Flip here, and today we're going to be talking about the new artifact set coming in 5.0 and how it gives extra viability to quite a lot of characters and teams. And also we get to discuss Dehya and how she's actually shaping up to be quite a good unit in 5.0, which isn't a meme, she looks quite solid as a supportive option now. But before we get into the video, as always, if at any point during the video you're entertained or informed, make sure to drop a like and even consider subscribing, as I talk on various topics regarding Genshin's meta and I'll try to keep you updated. And with that, let's begin. So first, I guess we talk about Dehya's place in the meta before moving on to the other stuff. The reason why Dehya was bad as a support is mostly the reason why shielders are kind of bad and why healers were bad for a long time, being that the Abyss is the endgame mode that is the hardest, and surviving more in the Abyss doesn't result in you clearing the Abyss faster, so a character that is purely defensive usually isn't going to be favored, especially with the fact that Dehya was a pyro defensive option, so she was basically directly competing with Bennett in this role. Good fucking. The reason why healers are so good now is because of Furina and how she turns healing into offense. And the reason why Zhongli can be used favorably is because he has a Res Shred and can use an artifact set like Petra. If you take a look at all the meta defensive options in the game, it's because they offer some sort of offensive return on top of being a good defensive option. Zhonyan enabling the plunge archetype, which is strong, on top of loading these plunges with steroids and the Come of Hercules with how much he buffs them. Bennett giving the single strongest attack buff in the game, and Chevreuse offering buffs to both your pyro and electro characters, on top of having an easy to trigger Res Shred. Even someone like Kuki, who is a bad healer that literally kills herself, will get used and recommended because she can trigger Hyper Blooms. Dehya is bad pretty much because she's a pure defensive option, because her Burgeon teams aren't good and her damage also isn't good, as well as having no real buffing capabilities. Like, yes, she can hold Tenacity and Noblesse, but if you needed a pyro support to buff attack, yeah, and if you needed off-field pyro application, then jungling does it better while also doing damage and pairs really nicely with Bennett, which is the reason why Dehya isn't recommended. So for Dehya to be good, she would need a way to support units that Bennett can't, and a situation where jungling isn't doing that much either, which coincidentally in Natlan we get scenarios like that. The new artifact set Scroll of Embedded The new artifact set Scroll of Embered Cities Hero saves a lot of shielders in the game. So what does it do? First, to play into Natlan's racism, the 2-piece effect can only be procced by Natlan characters, and basically when a teammate triggers a Night Soul Blessing, which occurs when someone from Natlan deals elemental damage, the user of the 2-piece gets 6 energy. So even non-Natlan characters can use this set and take advantage of the 2-piece, assuming they're paired with Natlan characters, which is nice. It is just free energy. But the real meat is in the 4-piece, which, to summarize, if you trigger a reaction, you will give a 12% damage bonus to your element and the element you reacted with. And if you are a Natlan character, is a further 28%. This set was more insane before the V2 changes, as it used to give a 25% damage bonus at a base. Though this is still great, as for Dehya, this gives her a way of buffing characters that are non-attack scaling, meaning she doesn't have to compete with Bennett, on top of the fact that the buff is also team-wide, on top of the fact that she also has solid enough off-field pyro to trigger things like burning for consistent pyro application. And the most obvious way in which this would be good is for HP scalers that can use burning teams like Nuvella or Mualani. For team setups like your Hydra carry of choice, Emil, Dehya, and you can slot in Kazuha or an off-field damage dealer from there. You can even use Nahida for the EM buff and to help with bursting more frequently on Emil. Guys, I keep fucking saying Emil. Her name is Emily, but the name is spelled so. Why is it an IE? It's supposed to be a Y. Is this name not stupid? Additionally, Kenichi is also coming in 5.0. Pause. And against aggressive enemies, due to his lack of IR and the fact that he moves quite frequently, his synergy with Bennett isn't the highest, as he may have to move out of it to strafe attacks, otherwise you just get hit. So again, in those scenarios, Dehya will be a very competitive option, and you'll be buffing him on his team, alongside any other Dendro or Pyro characters you decide to pair with him. And the reason why this is great is because Emily doesn't snapshot, so in most of her teams she's actually doing unbuffed damage, and in this situation Dehya will counteract that. You can also double up and run both Bennett and Dehya here to make staying in Bennett's circle while getting attacked more feasible. So yeah, Dehya can now be paired well with 3 strong DPS units. Unfortunately, because the set got nerfed a lot, she's less strong than what she would have been, but still, because this set can give you scenarios in which you're potentially buffing 3 different elements, there are going to be a lot more situations you can experiment with, where Dehya isn't being a deadweight on your team. And from the 2 characters releasing in 5.0, we can also grasp that Natlan will center around pyro reactions, and if they are as mobile as Kachina or Mualani while having forms without the greatest interruption resistance, then this is only going to make Dehya stocks rise more and more. But besides Dehya, this set opens the doors for some other teams. The first of which I'm going to talk about is its application on Kachina, the new free 4-star. This Geo toddler is just an all-fields DPS, and the reason why I want to talk about this set on her is because she's a Natlan character, and can therefore use the set to its full potential, giving a 40% total damage bonus. So Navia mains rejoice, you now have a Geo character that makes perfect sense on your teams, and not only that, if you are a budget Navia main, then you also have the craftable claymore that boosts skill damage based on pyro reactions. So a team like Navia, Bennett, Zhangling, Kachina is going to be a very good and cheap team to get going, considering 2 of the units are free, and the best 4-star weapon is a craftable here. A 40% damage bonus is close to an entire goblet's worth of damage, on top of Kachina also having an okay damage profile. So wherever you have a flex slot in a Pyro, Geo or Hydro team, you can just add her in and it will do you wonders. Kachina's drill, which enables her off-field damage, is also considered a Geo construct, and coincidentally, there is a character that buffs themselves when a Geo construct is on field. So the new double Geo cores with Chiori that you can create with this are going to be insane. Kachina is looking to be not only one of the strongest Geo characters but just 4 stars overall, assuming you have some of the Geo roster built, especially Chiori. Double Pyro, double Geo teams as well can work with Kachina as the on-fielder, because she has that built into her kit as well, which makes her do more damage. She can also pair with Mualani Mono Hydro teams, replacing Kazaha and so on. Moving back away from Natlan characters, a team archetype that will benefit greatly from the new set is Quicken teams. The Dendro unit on this team never really had an artifact set that was synergistic here, as you were either using Tenacity, which doesn't do a massive amount for Aggravate, or you had Instructors on, which on the Dendro unit, which is usually defensive, is kind of bad, as you're making your defensive profile worse. The 12% damage bonus is just an upgrade over using Tenacity, while also not hurting your Dendro unit stats by having to use a 4-star set, and also synergizes better for your team if you were using an EM Sans, so this is overall just looking to be the preferred set on Aggravate teams. Also I'll hide them Quicken teams, I guess, because that also had to run Instructor's Cookie, which hurts her healing a lot. I guess we could talk about the big dick unnerfable Nouvelette next. If you have him and don't have Zhongli and wanted to use shielders for him, you were kind of stuck, as besides giving an extra draconic stack, most shielders did nothing for him, and also seeing as you commonly run Furina, you would just opt to use a healer with him. But now if you want the comfort a shield provides, as Nouvelette already self-heals and gets a nice amount of fanfare by himself, you can just slap this set on someone like Dehya or Layla, so the set is going to be nice there as well. Lastly, since the set can be used on Dehya, it also makes sense that it can be used on Zhangling. Well, actually, no it doesn't, but let's just roll with it. In Fontaine, Zhangling has become and taken over more of a supportive role than she did in previous nations, which is going to be more present as we go into Natlan and with Emily around the corner. So because of this, running the set on her isn't going to be a bad idea at all, and will also buff her damage as well. So again, if you want to play Furina, Nouvelette or Mualani forward vape teams, if you plan to get Kanich, if you are playing reverse melt teams, in all of these situations, Zhangling will be able to contribute to the damage profile of the team while also buffing the team. And that is the capacity to what my brain has cooked up with the new set. To summarize, the set shines on characters like Dehya, who were purely defensive options that had no way of buffing non-attack scalers. And it also shines in scenarios where we didn't really have a wholly synergistic 5-star set, like in Quicken teams, or really any place we were running Instructors. And this set is only going to get better as we get more Natlan units that can utilize it, considering how strong it is already looking on Kachina, who is just a Geo off-field damage dealer. So with that, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, subscribe and comment your thoughts on Dehya actually being viable now, as I'd love to hear and respond to almost every single comment. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys on the flip side. Peace.